You know, I get asked so many questions about bait site location. I get asked these questions all the time about choosing a site. What's a good site? What's a bad site? What process do I go through trying to find a great site that's going to be really good year after year? So I thought it would be interesting to do a video where I'll just walk you through the process from beginning to the end of how to find a really good quality bait site. And I've got two new baits this year that are doing super fantastic. They got multiple bears on them. They got mature males on them that are showing up during the day, which is what we're all after. And so what I'd like to do is talk to you about how I found those sites and how I chose them, from the original aspect of just looking for new spots through aerial photography, all the way up to boots on the ground, walking out there and finding the exact tree that I'm going to put my tree stand in and all that. So let's start here by looking at aerial photos on Google Earth. All right, so as you can see, this area is heavily forested with lots of water. There's lots of lakes and small lakes, big lakes, swamps. Some of the bigger lakes have resorts on them. Some of the smaller lakes don't have any private property owners on them at all. There's a lot of swamps and so forth. It's just excellent bear habitat. It's what we're looking for as a wide general location where you're just going to start wide and we're just going to narrow it down, narrow it down, narrow it down, and pinpoint exactly where we're going to dump the bucket. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in here to the area in which I've got these new baits this year, and they're about 3 miles apart. And as you can see, I'm just zooming in here, and I just started looking at this area, and here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for places that have mature timber. Okay, I don't want to see lines of forest where it's all been planted into spruces or something like that. I want to see areas where there's going to be mature timber with big trees, and but I don't want a canopy where there's no ground cover. So I'm looking for this. That's a mix that I'm looking for. So anyway, I started really looking at this area. It's got some logging activity going on. It's got several small lakes, and as you can see, these lakes, and this is kind of slow here because I'm using my cell phone as a tether, and so it doesn't load very fast. But as you can see, what's surrounding these small lakes is swamps, and there's swampy creeks between them. Okay, here, if you look at this stuff right here, this is what I'm talking about. That's more like plantation trees. Okay, these are probably going to be white pines or spruces or something of that nature that logging companies have planted there. All right, so this is pretty low ground here. This is swampy. I like the looks of that. Here's some logged off areas, so you got logging roads, you're going to have access. This marsh right here looks really good to me. It's got a lot of swamp around it. And then this lake right here, oh, here's a logging road that goes by really close to this lake right here. So I looked at this lake and I looked at this area right here. And as you know, I've mentioned this many times, I want to be near water. I always want to have an opportunity for these bears to go lay up in the water near the bait. It's hot, you know, I'm baiting here in August. It's getting up into the 80s during the day, and these bears have a thick layer of fur and fat, and they're black, and they're gonna spend some time in the water. They also need to drink a lot of water because we're feeding them up to 25,000 calories a day, so they need to drink a lot of water to help process, to digest all those calories. So I kind of narrowed in on this area right here alongside of this little lake. I mean, this is just kind of a little 50-acre, maybe 75-acre lake. And I've got a road here, and then I got what looks like a trail right here. So at this point, what I did was I looked on my phone and I put a pin there. And then I zoomed in, and it says that this land is county tax forfeit land. Okay, so it's owned by the county and it's public hunting. So I dropped a pin there, and now what we're going to do is we're going to go out there and we're going to look at it. But before we do that, I'm going to show you the second bait, which is about 2.5 or 3 miles from this one, and explain to you how I arrived at choosing that location before we actually go out to these 2 bait sites and explain to you when we get the boots on the ground. Okay, so let's zoom out here, and we're going to go up here. We're going through some swamps, and you got a really nice swampy creek running right up through here. As you can see, that's just a really good looking creek that's kind of zigzagging all through there, and it's going to have cattails and bulrushes, and it's just a really good swampy creek area. And right here is another really good looking lake with a road going to it. So let's look back up in here. Now this is all pretty young stuff right here. You can tell this is older stuff, this is young stuff. I'm looking for kind of older stuff. Alright, now look at, there's a whole bunch of little swamps right in this area. See that swamp right there? It looks got some beaver activity. That's good. We got a nice swamp there. And once again, I apologize that this is so. There's a swamp there. This is good old growth. Well, I shouldn't say old growth, but this is mature timber right here. This is the type of stuff that we're looking for. And you got a lot of water here. I can clearly see there's some trails, access trails. If you look out, if you zoom out a little bit, you can see I've got a real nice swampy creek there with some beaver ponds, beaver dams in it. Here's a clear cut, so that's going to give us some access here. So I really started to zoom in on this, and I found this area where there's a swamp here. There's some older timber here. This map is actually a few years old, because this is all overgrown into poplars that are 20 foot tall right now. But we've obviously got access here, so I can come in down through here. There's another swamp right there. That looks good. I'm gonna look at coming in through this right here and getting up into this kind of a narrow neck down area where you got some bigger trees over here. You got a swamp here. This is where I'm going, right here. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to zoom in. I'm using the base map app here. You can do this on Onyx or Hunt Stand or whatever. I just happen to be using base map. Alright, county tax forfeit land. That's what I want to see. And I'm going to pick this spot right there, right by that swamp right there. I got multiple swamps around there. I got a little swamp there. They got lots of low ground around there. I'm going to put a pin there. Okay, let's go out there, and I'm going to be baiting these. These are 2 baits that I put out about 12 days ago, and they're both getting hit really good. They got a lot of bears on them, and I got to go bait them, so I'm going to show you exactly how I chose the exact spot once I get out there. Let's hit the woods. Okay, step 2 in this process now is that I found access to where I can get close to this area where I want to bait back here. So I found a place where I can pull off the road, unload my four-wheeler, and then I'm only just 300-400 yards here from the area that I wanted to search for the right location. So I'm going to jump on the four-wheeler here, and I'm going to show you how that originally when I picked out this spot, I drove back in there, parked, and just started walking around in the woods, I guess that you could say, in the area, looking for an area that's open enough where you got you're gonna have shooting lanes, and then also that you've got a tree for the barrel and a tree for the tree stand that are the right distance apart, and then of course also something to attach the trail camera to. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, this area back in here, I knew that that's the area that I'm looking for. And I just knew the general area, so when I first set out to choose this bait site, this specific site, you know, I just walked that way and started walking around in that general area until I found what I needed. And I found exactly what I needed, and let's go in there and show you that. Okay, we came to a little area here. There's this little kind of a creek connected to the lake. And the bears we're about 60 yards from the bait, 70 maybe right now. And the bears can come right down here on a hot day and just flop down in this creek, and they will. And I can prove it, because there's a pile of bear scat right there full of trail mix. So as you can see, this is just nice and cool, damp, wet. It's exactly what the bears need. All right, let's go on in the last 60, 70 yards here to the bait. So here we are at the bait site. And you can tell we got a very picky bear here. He's eating the nuts and leaving the breads. There's I think 3 different bears on this bait that are regulars, and one more that's not really what I would consider to be a regular. But as you can see, there's a heavy trail there, heavy trail there. There's the camera, and that tree right there. And this is a little closer than I normally like it. That's probably, it might be 15, probably 14 yards. You can also see they've been coming in on a trail right there. But this is what I'm looking for here. I see I'm in thick cover, so they feel comfortable moving about during the daylight. And I got a tree in the right spot to attach the bait to. I've got a tree at about 15 feet, which is ideal for the trail camera. Although I got this trail camera set a little bit, aiming a little bit high, and I need to come in here and move it down a little bit. But this is exactly the type of thing that we're looking for. Got a good sized tree there I can put a ladder stand in, and this should be really, really good. And
The bears have found it, and they've been working it really, really good and hard. So, all right, that's what you see. This is what I'm looking for. When I am putting out a new bait site, this has all the features, or most of the features that I'm looking for. Down the hill that way, it's about 100 yards to the lake. And the good thing about that is if there's any bears that are walking between here and the lake, you got the evening thermals that are going to take your smells from your bait and your Northwoods Bear Spray, the Gold Rush that I used when I started it. Holy smokes, the mosquitoes are unreal in here, and I put mosquito repellent on too. But the evening thermals will take that smell right down to them and just pull them right in. So this has got everything that they need, and it's got most of what I like to have. Okay, let's go do the second one, and I'll show you. It's a little bit different, but look at this here. Look at all of the bear scat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, I mean, that bear, the main bear that's in here, is pretty much living here. He's probably within 100 yards of us right now. He might just be laying down on the edge of the lake. So let's get this baited and get out of here. I'm going to load up here. I'm taking 4 buckets in here. It's actually about 3/4 of a mile that way, so I got a little longer 4-wheeler ride on this one, but this is my unloading spot. I'm going to take 4 buckets in there. Last time I was in there, all I had left was 4 buckets, and there's so many bears in there that I got a feeling it's probably just completely cleaned up, but all I can haul on this thing right now is 4 buckets. I got more in the truck if I have to. I'll come back for 2 or 3 more and make sure that the barrel's topped off, because these bears are really cleaning it up in there. Okay, the bait's probably about 75 yards from where I parked the 4-wheeler. And this bait has multiple sows with cubs on it, so I always approach it cautiously. They can get pretty surly, and they're often pretty close. So let's move in here. Goodness, they have torn this thing apart. Should have got more bait in last time. This is what I don't like to see. Completely cleaned up. Alright, that is the tree stand tree right there. Not that one, but that one. And it's 18 yards away, which is pretty much ideal. Look at the beat down trail they got coming in there. They're coming in right under the stand. And here's something else about helping these bears feel secure at the bait site. When I put a stand in that tree right there, that stump is in front of it and these bushes are in front of it. And as you can probably see right through there, I don't know if you can or not, but there's a swamp right back there. It's just right, we're on the edge of a swamp. God, the mosquitoes are horrible. purpose of having that right in front of the stand is that it gives the bears a sense of security. If they look up and they see you up there, they might not know what you are, but they're going to probably see you up there. And then you have something between you and them that adds to their sense of security. So, all right, here's the bait barrel. There's the trail camera, about 15 feet away or so, I don't know. Yeah, probably. All right, let's get this barrel filled up. But hopefully that'll help you see. I'll, you know, as you can see, there's just a lot of ground cover around me. There's thickness. We got water close. There, you know, it's just the kind of an area where a bear would feel secure moving about during the daylight, and that's what we're really working at here. Our goal is always to have a bait site where the bears just feel comfortable. They, you know, they feel secure coming in during the daylight. They don't have to walk through open areas to get to it, and you know, this just has everything they need, and that's why there's so many bears on here. There's 11 bears that I've got on camera so far, which includes a sow with 3 cubs and a sow with 2 cubs, so that's 7 of them. But there's also 2 mature males here, and they've been here in the daylight. Well, that pretty much sums it up. I hope you learned a nugget or two of information out of this. If you did, please hit the like button, and if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. There is so much information on here about bear hunting and bear baiting and bear strategy, and the vlogs that I do every year with the bear hunting. And I got to go get 2 more buckets to top off that barrel because it's just getting pounded so hard. Just to recap briefly here, what we're trying to do is create an environment where the bears have everything they need and they feel secure and comfortable coming to it during the daylight, and that's especially true of big mature males, which is what we're targeting, of course. We're after big bears, and it's best for the resource to harvest those mature males. So every little thing that I did with relation to where the bait barrel is, where the stand is, where the general area is, the location of the water that's nearby, the amount of security cover around. We don't want to make them walk through an open area. It's really difficult to get them to come in during the daylight. If you do that, they like to stay in cover when it's light. So anyway, thank you for joining me, and I hope this has helped you, and we'll see you on the next video.